Okay, I'm going to talk about this today. CPF. CPF rules have been changing all the while throughout for decades. All the while. Okay. The biggest change, of course, was the first promise of a CPF when it was put up is that Singaporeans can take out their CPF when they reach 55 years old. Right? But that is no longer honored by the government. Whether you agree or not, that is not the case right now. Right? Then there are changes here and there, contribution rate, interest rate, and those so on and so forth. There are so many changes, okay, right? Until nobody know exactly what happened. All right. Anyway, the ceiling and all that. Okay, these ceiling things of course need to change because wages have been going up, but the contribution rate have been changing. Even when we're talking about these different ages, will have different contribution rate. Okay, with 55 and below, the total contribution is 37, right? 17%, I think it's 17% by the company, by the employers, and 20% by the employees, right? Last time it was 2020. Before that, it was 25, right? And now they change it. Oh, after you are above 55 to 60, then you reduce, right? The contribution for both reduce, right? Total drop to 32.5%. Then it further drop to 23.5% when you reach 60 to 65. And if you continue to work 65 to 70, it drops to 16.5. And above 70, 12.5. No, I do not know why this is so. Because basically, this is a contribution rate, right? It seems that the older you get discriminated. Of course, the rationale given by PAP is this: oh, in order for employers to employ older people, right? Therefore, we can actually make them older employees to be more attractive, competitive, so that you reduce their contribution rate. But it's actually counterintuitive to me because when you get old, after using your CPF to pay for your HDB or your properties for 20, 30 years, you know, there is a time when you need the most money for your retirement, but yet your CPF contribution went down. Right? It's counterintuitive, but that is what was arranged, right? Right now, and this is how it works, right? To a certain extent, I do not know how we should look upon this. Okay, now you know your distribution of your CPF contribution is very different. Okay, at different ages. Right? It seems that it's supposed to help you to buy your first property. You know, when you're young, 35 and below, your ordinary account will have more, right? The special account will have less, right? The Medisave is less. About 21% went to your Medisave. That means 21% of the total contribution. Okay. Now, it's very confusing. Nobody actually understand. fully. Even some of the MPs also blur about all this CPF stuff. Right? I'm not going to talk about all these nitty-gritty things, but only on the concept. You will only save more money when your interest you get from the CPF, like a special account, is higher, not lower. In the long run, because compounding interest, 1% difference can mean a lot, a lot. Trust me, a lot. So if we continue to give 2.5% for the ordinary account or 4% for the special account, it is not right. Okay, the balance should be tilted the other way. Right? This is how it works on onset. Employee contribution is 8%. This is what we propose. Right? Employer contribution 17%. That means in net worth, the employee doesn't loogie because the less contribution to the CPF is due to the less contribution by the employee themselves, not the employer. So we maintain 25%. Okay, we maintain 25% of that. We should do away with the ordinary account and straight away with Medisave and Special account. Why? Because whatever you put into the CPF should not be used for anything else. Why I say that? Now, in Singaporeans' concept, not only the CPF rules change, it's a perception and the Singaporeans' mindset change. Right? Last time when we have a CPF is solely for our retirement. But ever since they released the money to say, oh, you can buy HDB flats with your CPF, then everybody go and buy CPF, use their money, CPF money, to buy their HDB. It gives people the false sense of affordability. And a situation of overconsumption of housing happens. When you listen to PAP ministers saying that, oh, even those who have a low wage of 1,000 or 1,003 can even own a HDB flat, you should be shocked. That is overconsumption. Right? The so-called affordability is being manufactured artificially by allowing them to use their retirement funds to pay for the mortgage. Now imagine when you are already low wage workers, and most probably every month is 月光一族 you won't manage to save any money at the end of every month, and yet you allow them to use up all their CPF money to pay for the HDB mortgage. It comes with double interest. Right? Never mind about the second interest. The first interest is good enough. What are they going to depend on when they get old, when they retire? Basically, they will work until they die. Right? People will say, oh, $60,000 a two-room flat for them is very cheap. Well, 60,000 very cheap. But you know that if they actually rent a flat from the government, 60,000 can mean how many years they can rent a flat from government. The rental of a one flat can be as low as $100. 1 year is 1,002 only. 60,000 means what? 50 years. And that is without calculating in the interest. If you add in the interest, wow, it's going to be 100,000. It is not the way. It's overconsumption. That should not be the case. And you should not expect them to benefit or monetize their two-room flat to sell off and make money. Cannot. Where are they going to live? Live on the beach, East Coast Park? Cannot. It's overconsumption, and that should not be promoted. And I was shocked, surprised when PAP actually, government actually talk as if this is some great achievement of their own. I was shocked. Really, this should not be the case. Okay, this should not be the case. Now, what we propose is this. Go back to the first principle. The first principle of CPF is retirement financing. Whatever you do, die, you must have 25% saved for retirement and your medical care, right? You do not need the ordinary account. You should not use it for your children's education. Why? Are they going to top up it? Are they forced to top up your CPF after that? No, right? That should not be the case. If the children want to study, right? If they are not able to pay for it, the government should give more scholarship or bursary or make it free for them instead of eating into their parents' retirement funding. So whatever you do, we fix the CPF contribution rate, fixed for all ages, not like what they are trying to say, wow, when you get older, we have a lower contribution rate, right? So on and so forth. That should not be the case, right? Elderly people can take a pay cut, but the saving for retirement should remain the same, right? Total 25%. And the interest rate should be fixed higher, not lower. 4 to 6% returns for both accounts. Now, people will actually argue with me, oh, how can I have 4 to 6% and so on and so forth? It's not impossible. It's really possible. Why? I can tell you the main problem of insufficient retirement financing. First, is because of the mortgage. Most Singaporeans use a CPF to pay for the mortgage. $0.04 of affordability over consumption of housing, and later on, it bites back. You have to monetize your HDB flat. Most people have only one property in their life. You have to monetize your own flat for your retirement. That should not be the case. It's absurd, right? Why? Because people say, "Oh, I buy bigger flat with more rooms, so that next time I can rent out." Right? That is overconsumption. You do not right size. You do not buy the HDB flat to the size that you need. And unknowingly, people are paying double, high interest rate, not low interest rate. It's really double interest rate. Why? Because whatever you take from a CPF, you have to pay interest payment back to your own. You use your own funds, you have to pay interest to your own because that is meant for your so-called retirement. Right? There's no second way about this. It should not be that case. Now, the arrangement of CPF why CPF interest rate is fixed? 讲好听啦 the PAP ruling party will tell you, the government will tell you, oh, because we guarantee it, right? Guarantee 4% very a lot already. Guarantee. I tell you, don't bullshit. Fixed interest rate and guarantee interest rate is two different concepts. What is a guarantee concept? Guarantee means, right, you can have a variable interest return, but I guarantee 4%. That means if the investment went wrong and go below, I still give you 4%. But if the investment return for your CPF went up 5%, 6%, or even 8%, you will get the full 8% if you can get the returns of 8%. That is what you mean by guarantee. Right? Fixed interest rate means fixed, is not guarantee. Okay? Yeah, is a minimum one. Guarantee means minimum. I guarantee you minimum interest return. You go to a bank, you put in a fixed D, is a fixed D. Right? But if you go to an insurance company to buy an investment product, they may say, I guarantee you 4% return each year. But if the fund perform better, then you get all the returns. That is what you mean by guarantee. Why did CPF not able to do that? Right? This is a bit technical. Because CPF Board act only like a trustee. CPF Board itself did not invest your CPF money on behalf of you. It's unlike the mutual fund. Those mutual fund means in other places, in other countries, whatever they are forced to put into savings are managed by mutual funds, right? Like the Hong Kong MPF, right? You can actually select different mutual funds or trust funds, so-called, right? Managed by different companies. I mean, CPF don't invest. They are very lazy. So what they do, CPF will just buy the government bonds issued by the government at the fixed rate. If it's ordinary account, then you buy a bond of 2.5% fixed rate, right? If it's from a special account, you only buy a bond fixed rate 4%, and transfer this money out from the CPF into the government. So when the government says that the GIC or the Temasek didn't manage your CPF money, technically they are right, right? Right? Technically they are right. Why? Because it goes through the government, and the government allocates these funds to GIC or to any mechanism, right? Buying bonds from Temasek Holdings to transfer this money to Temasek. So in legal terms, this is not your money that they are managed. Right? Now, when GIC use this money to invest and make lots of money, which they claim, right? Like Temasek, at one time they were claiming that annualized return of 18%, right? GIC annualized return of 8%, I think, 8 or 10%, I can't remember, right? Don't be happy because that is not your money. Remember, that becomes their money. Whatever return they achieve, they will not share with you. Why? Because your trustee, the CPF board, only bought the bonds from the government at a fixed rate. That's how it works. So if we want a better returns for your money, for your CPF money, you can actually invest on your own, right? Using your CPF money. However, as a retail investor, we do not have the strength, the mass, nor the insider information, the know-how to do an investment. But if you are really trained or have a certain idea of investment in trust fund, in certain trust fund, right, you can actually make decent return. Right? Annualized return about 6% is possible, definitely possible. 5 to 6% is definitely possible. But you want to make more, normally mutual funds makes more money, right? Because they have the advantage as a big fund, right? So unless CPF stop buying these government bonds from the government, but invest your money prudently, right? Manage your money as a mutual fund, then we can get higher returns. Of course, there are more risks. That's where the guarantee comes in, right? There will be ups and downs. Never mind. What the government can come in and say, we guarantee 4%. That is called guarantee. But if your CPF make more money, right, then it belongs to you. That should be the way, right? That should be the way. So this is part one. This is actually part two. Part one is delink mortgage payment from CPF. That is not right. Part two is CPF should start managing your funds instead of buying government bonds and let GIC go and invest. Most likely they are going to earn more than 4% a year, but they are not going to share the profit to you, the dividends to you, but to the government of the day. In fact, basically means you are lending money to the government to make more money to supplement their coffers. Right? In the past, in the 1960s, 1970s, that may be necessary. Why? Because in the past, the government have no money, are poor. We don't have resources, financial resources. So CPF can act as a cheap source of funds for the government because they need to build industrial park, they need to build infrastructure and all that, right? Then they can transfer the money from the CPF, right, through these special purpose government bonds, right? That is actually legit. But now the government itself have enough financial resources, and this should not continue, right? This should not continue. The government should not actually make use of cheap funds from CPF, from our money, to make more money for them to spend. Right? Instead, the government have the responsibility, right, to guarantee a certain return 4%. But if the CPF manage to find and earn more, then that is ours for our retirement. Right? That is a second concept we need to change for the CPF. Right? Well, the government can continue to provide a guarantee of 4%. It's good. But it doesn't mean that our return should be fixed at 4% or 6%. We can earn more. Right? Now, one of the important factors in all this managing of CPF money is financial literacy. Some PIBs actually put a quite stupid question, right? Can you teach us to get guaranteed at least 6%? No, nobody can guarantee. At least guarantee should always come from the government. I cannot guarantee you, right? But if you are investing in the long term, mid term, long term, getting 6% is really possible. There are quite a number of companies that give steady dividend, regardless of they're making money or losing money, right? They're pretty steady in giving out dividends, at 5 to 6%, right? Most of them are actually the banks, right? At some point of time, when the banks got hit, they might stop giving dividends for some time, right? But when they bounce back, right, they will still give quite good dividends. This one is financial literacy. That should be the surviving skill, important life skill that we should teach in our education system to our students, regardless whether they study finance or financial economics or no. People have to have a concept of interest rate. People have to have a concept of foreign exchange rate. What is it all about? Basic concept. People have to understand about options, futures, right? Structured financial instrument don't touch lah. Because sometimes we go for people who are in the knowledge also very difficult to actually understand the whole thing. Lehman Brothers mini bond is one of the case, right? It's a structured product that people play around with concepts. Actually, that Lehman Brothers mini bond is a technical cheating, right? Unethical. Right? But at least to survive in this era, right? Last time our parents, my parents, botak chewan, right? They lugi, but they still can survive. But in this era, you do not equip yourself with basic financial understanding of all these instruments, interest rate, money supply, inflation, foreign exchange rate, right? Investment returns, compounding interest rate, so on and so forth, you will not get very far in life. Okay? Financial literacy is important because we cannot forever depend on CPF alone. My friend questioned me about the plan on Delink CPF from HDB in my my Facebook. He said that if we delink, because now the contribution is about 37%, starting from 37%. If I'm going to cut the contribution rate from the employees, right, that means the employees, Singaporeans, normal Singaporeans will have more money, right? Then we will spend more. Then there will be inflation. I say no. Right? Of course, he also realized that, people may not, that there will be a crash in the property market if we do that because people have less money to actually pay for their mortgage. I say no. Why? First of all, 80% of Singaporeans owns a HDB flat. And out of this 80%, 90% of them hardly monetize or sell their HDB flats for profit. Right? So whether the resale market go up and or down, or the new flat, the BTO flats go up and down, it doesn't matter to them. $1 million flat, wow, feel happy lah, right? But are you going to sell it? Sell already? Where are you going to stay? Can you get a better deal? No, don't. That's why you do not see people rushing to sell their HDB flats just because the resale flat market shows $1 million flat. Huh? Unless you have the financial means to upgrade to condos or private properties. That's different. So 90% of HDB owners do not really mind or matters in how the property market, the HDB resale market moves, or even the BTO market moves. But it will affect our youngsters. I explained before, people want to get married, they need a roof over their head, they need privacy, they need to form their family unit first before they give birth to babies. We want to solve the fertility rate problem, we have to provide really cheap housing, HDB, for them first, for them to get married early. We cannot escape from that, right? So will this actually affect the resale market? Of course it will. It will affect the BTO market. Yes and no. Why? Resale market maybe yes, but not the BTO. Why? Because the BTO pricing is controlled by the monopoly, which is the government through HDB. How much the BTO will cost, will be priced, actually largely depends on how much the government want to sell it and how much they are going to impute the land cost into the BTO, the new flats. Right? They are the monopoly, right? They have no competitors in this, right? So when we cut the CPF contribution for Singaporeans, you still need to pay your mortgage if you still have a mortgage to pay. So whatever you save from the contribution to the CPF, you still need to use it to pay your mortgage. And you may need to fork out more cash. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this straight. You are going to fork out more cash. Right? Because 12% more, right? About roughly 12%. I calculate about 10 to 12% more cash of your salary. Because now it's overconsumption. You're eating up, using up your retirement funds to finance your mortgage. That is wrong. Financial planning, that is wrong. That should not happen in the first place. Right? So how could this create an inflationary pressure on the economy? The net effect is actually quite minimal on consumption. Those with mortgage will have to fork out more money. Those without mortgage will have more money, but not everyone will actually spend the money. Right? They may save or invest on their own. Now, you want financial independence for everyone, or financial freedom for everyone ultimately. You have to allow people to be empowered with financial knowledge. That's number one. And the financial freedom to manage their own funds. You cannot always be a nanny state to say, oh, I do it for you. I arrange for you. How much you should put in the CPF, how much you can use for your CPF for your education or your housing. That is not right. That cannot work. There are people who, after work for some time, they want to start a business. Right? If they have this plan, they will save on their own and they invest in stock market, whatever it is, right? To accumulate the wealth from this less contribution to the CPF, and they can start their business. Let them have the freedom to manage their own money. We cannot always play the fear factor. What is the fear factor? Use one or two cases of people mismanage their money, anyhow spend, right? go to Batam and all that and say, oh, we should not allow that. That should not be the case. That is a minority. These are the minorities, right? People who gamble it away. Those are the minorities. If you're afraid of people who gamble away, you just close the casinos, right? Right? Why will you open 2 casinos? Not 1, but 2. I'm against the casino, by the way. Right? So there are people who want to use this money for religious pilgrimage. Go to Mecca. Let them do that. The spiritual path. Different people have different risk adversity. That's number 1. Different people have different needs. That's number 2. Right? And different people have different aspiration. That's number 3. Let them manage their own life. A lot of people keep saying that Singaporeans lack entrepreneurship and all that. Basically, because we are tied down with this mindset of using CPF to finance mortgage of HDB. And because of that, if you don't work, you don't have CPF, you don't contribute CPF money to the CPF, you cannot buy a HDB. And they become risk averse. Right? That should not be the case. Right? That should not be the case. And because people think about, oh, you can use CPF to buy the HDB, because you don't feel the pinch of having to fork out extra cash or little cash, right? Then you tend to overbuy, overspend, putting too much money in the HDB flat. That's overconsumption. That is actually unhealthy. Really unhealthy. You should not have that concept. Because a lot of people say, yeah, put money into CPF also no use, right? It's my money, you cannot spend. You only spend on HDB, I buy bigger lah. And that is overconsumption. But if you put money into their hands, they know that, oh, if I don't use this money to pay for the mortgage, then I can use this for something else, to save for something else, to invest, to do small business, right? That is different. They will have options open to them. An option is very important to human beings. Only with option, you have freedom. Okay. So with that, it concludes part of my CPF proposition. I repeat again. Delink CPF from HDB mortgage, or HDB mortgage, basically. But if you want to use CPF to pay for a second property, then okay. Why? Because the second property is actually an investment asset. The first property is never an investment asset. Don't have a wrong idea about this. You don't mix it up. Only your second property can be an investment asset. Okay? If people ask me, do you mean that Die must put the CPF, the money into CPF and that's it? No. There are many ways of doing it. For second property, that's my concept. Very different. I think very differently. First property, you die, you must not use the CPF. Only the second. Or you manage your own, or use your CPF money to buy trust fund, like what the Hong Kong are doing. Let them have a choice of a trust fund and empower them, equip them with the financial knowledge, how to look at financial chartings, how to analyze returns, so on and so forth. Or simply let CPF manage your funds as a mutual funds, not for the CPF to buy government bonds. That's wrong. Right? That should not be the case. We have in different era right now. Right? So second, CPF should be the mutual fund manager, not just a trustee to use their CPF money to buy government bonds. If CPF, right, can manage the funds and invest in GIC or Temasek holdings, for example, right, invest directly to GIC or Temasek, then whatever returns that GIC and Temasek earns, the CPF will take and returns to us, the contributors. Only then that is fair. Okay? Right now, right, part of this assessor are actually kept by the government or GIC or Temasek holdings. Okay. Third, Singaporeans must learn how to manage their own finances. It should be a necessary life skill to be taught in our education system. Compounding interest rate especially, it's not a very complex idea, but a lot of people do not understand what it means. Okay? People must understand financial markets. These are my proposition. Thank you for watching. And you like what I've said, like, comment, and share. And of course, I still urge people to donate to our People's Power Party campaign fund. Thank you for watching and good night.